Craig Greenberg said this is a new model for consent decrees in the country and is substantially different from the ones cut by other cities like Baltimore and New Orleans. WHAS 11 Focus Team reporter Travis Breeze sent Louisville's agreement today to an expert in Baltimore to compare the differences.
Last week, LMPD Chief Paul Humphrey said he doesn't want to do what Baltimore did, namely rush a consent decree at the last minute and get stuck in one that's hard to get out of. The mayor and assistant attorney general seemed confident that didn't happen, but I wanted to know if Louisville's consent decree has less improvement areas or pillars than Baltimore's.
But the feeling that we're getting right now is that this is a new consent decree, so conceivably it would be shorter or maybe have less pillars than Baltimore's. Is that true in any respect?
There is no one-size-fits-all approach. The extensive consent decree that we have negotiated here is responsive to the issues that we identified during our investigation.
After reading the consent decree, Louisville has 13 pillars compared to Baltimore's 17. One expert says that's not the main difference that he saw.
I've reviewed many consent decrees. I was involved in negotiating one, so I'm familiar with how they're laid out.
Jason Johnson was deputy police commissioner in Baltimore, and he now warns cities not to get into consent decrees. He says this document is just as specific as Baltimore's and has a lot of the same benchmarks, but on page 227, there's a clause that says after 5 years, the consent decree will end unless the federal government can prove Louisville Metro has not fulfilled the entire agreement.
I believe it's the first time I've seen this. But there's still going to be a lot of work to be done at that point. But the burden will shift at that point, and the Department of Justice will be required to demonstrate and prove to the court that the areas that they believe are not in substantial compliance, they'll have to prove they are not in substantial compliance.
While Johnson thinks 5 years is, quote, naive, he says this could help Louisville get out quicker.
With the Department of Justice.
Tactics and refrain.
So there you have it, the 5-year burden of proof. He just talked about it. What is this consent decree going to look like in 5 years? Travis, what were you able to learn?
According to Johnson, he thinks that they're not going to be able to get through all 13 of these benchmark areas in the 5 years. He thinks they'll be able to make some progress, but he does think, he said the DOJ has a ton of resources to be able to do what it wants, but it will be on them to make a case. They'll have to build that case and present it in court that Louisville has not done X, Y, Z. There's obviously so much that can change in those 5 years. You know, how zealous are they going to be to make that case? But he thinks there will be a case to be made.
How zealous under a Trump administration, which is going to very much look at the DOJ differently. All right. Thank you very much, Travis. Join me later tonight on WHAS 11 Plus. Again, our Plus channel, that's at 9 o'clock. I'll be talking in depth about today's agreement with reporters Travis Breeze and Isaiah Kim Martinez. Is it really the good deal that we've been hearing today? We'll go in depth on what we've been learning tonight. You can download WHAS 11 Plus for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.